Welcome back to the channel Coins Collector, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on the channel where we dive deep into the hidden gems of history, the stories behind everyday objects, and the incredible world of coins and collectibles. Today, you're going to be absolutely amazed by the fascinating story of a tiny, copper-colored coin that most people might overlook, something you'd probably find at the bottom of a drawer, in your change jar, or even stuck in between the car seats. We're talking about the humble 1976 Liberty 1-cent coin, which, despite its face value of just a single cent, has managed to capture attention across the world because of a rare version that's been valued at an astonishing $715,000. That's right, $715,000 for a penny. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Something designed to be worth the lowest denomination in U.S. currency is now more valuable than most homes, vehicles, or college degrees. But what makes this coin so exceptional? How does a 1-cent coin from the bicentennial year of the United States come to be so highly prized by collectors, investors, and historians alike? Today, we're going to explore the fascinating journey of this coin, unraveling the details about the rare errors, minting anomalies, and unique conditions that set it apart. This isn't just a story about money. It's a story about American history, mechanical imperfections, mystery, and the passion of coin collectors who know exactly what to look for. Let's rewind the clock for a moment. The year is 1976. The United States is celebrating its bicentennial, 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It's a year filled with pride, parades, fireworks, and commemorative items being produced left and right. The U.S. Mint, too, got in on the action. Special editions of quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins were struck with unique bicentennial designs bearing dual dates, 1776 to 1976. But interestingly, the penny, our 1-cent coin, wasn't given a bicentennial design. That decision, in and of itself, adds a small layer of intrigue to the story, as it remained visually unchanged from previous years. However, it's not the design itself that makes the 1976 Lincoln penny such a prized possession, it's the rare mistakes that occurred during its production, and that's where the real treasure lies. To understand why one particular 1976 penny is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, we need to dig into the process of coin minting and what can go wrong. Coins are mass-produced, with billions struck every year. That sheer volume makes occasional errors not only possible but inevitable. When errors occur, they are typically caught and scrapped. But sometimes, a few mistake-ridden coins slip through the cracks and end up in circulation. These so-called error coins can range from minor imperfections to dramatic misstrikes, and depending on the nature of the error, the rarity, and collector demand, these coins can become worth many times, or even hundreds of thousands of times, their original value. Now, the 1976 penny in question isn't just a regular error coin. It has several layers of uniqueness that converge to make it one of the most intriguing coins in U.S. numismatic history. The most valuable specimens exhibit an incredibly rare combination of minting mistakes and unusual features that occurred either during the die-making process or at the moment the coin was struck. Some involve doubling of the letters and numbers, a phenomenon known as a double die, while others relate to misaligned dies, off-center strikes, or even the wrong planchet being used. All of these factors, particularly when found together, can boost a coin's value into the stratosphere. One of the key features that makes the $715,000 1976 Liberty penny so desirable is the presence of a dramatic double die. When we talk about a double die, we're referring to a situation in which the image engraved into the die, the tool used to strike the coin, is accidentally impressed twice but at slightly different angles. When that flawed die is used to mint coins, every one of those coins bears a slightly doubled image. In the case of the 1976 Lincoln penny, some examples show clearly visible doubling in the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1976. The doubling can be seen with the naked eye in some cases and is a telltale sign of a coin that's likely far more valuable than face value, but the intrigue doesn't stop there. Another contributing factor to this penny's astronomical value is the presence of mint mark errors. Mint marks are small letters found on coins indicating which U.S. mint facility produced them. In 1976, pennies could bear the D mint mark for Denver, the S mint mark for San Francisco, or have no mark at all, which indicates it was minted in Philadelphia. In rare cases, these mint marks were either punched incorrectly or were entirely missing. Even more fascinating are coins that bear what's known as a repunched mint mark, where a mint mark was stamped more than once, resulting in overlapping letters. Collectors go wild for these, especially when they appear on an otherwise rare or error-prone coin, but wait, there's more. One of the most remarkable and high-value anomalies found in some 1976 pennies is that they were accidentally struck on the wrong planchet. Planchets are the blank metal discs that are struck to create coins. In the vast machinery and quick pace of minting facilities, it's possible for the wrong planchet to be loaded into the press. For instance, a penny could be struck on a dime planchet, resulting in a smaller and lighter coin with an off appearance and clipped edges. Alternatively, some rare examples exist where a penny has been struck on a foreign coin planchet, which is even more bizarre and collectible. These wrong planchet errors are exceedingly rare, and when coupled with doubling or mint mark mistakes, they send collectors into a frenzy. Another mystery that adds to the 1976 penny's mystique is the potential for transitional errors. Transitional errors occur when a coin is struck using dies or metal compositions from a previous or upcoming year, often due to a mix-up during the changeover of coinage standards. Though the 1976 penny was supposed to be composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, some coins from that era have been found with differing metal compositions, possibly due to leftover planchets from other years being used accidentally. The difference in weight and composition may not be visible at first glance, but with the right testing tools, such as a gram scale or metal analyzer, these differences become evident, and their impact on value is considerable. Now, one might ask, why would someone pay over $700,000 for such a coin? The answer lies in the principles of rarity, condition, provenance, and market demand. When a coin with multiple rare errors is found in pristine, uncirculated condition, meaning it's never been used in everyday transactions, its value increases exponentially. Add to that the fact that very few of these coins are known to exist, and suddenly you have a coin that's not only a historical artifact but also an investment-grade collectible. High-end collectors and investors are always seeking the next big discovery, the unicorn of coins, and when one appears at auction, bidding wars can push the final price into incredible territory. It's also important to highlight the role of professional grading in this equation. Coins are typically evaluated and graded by third-party services such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC. These organizations assess a coin's condition using a 70-point scale, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. A 1976 penny with error features that scores even a high-grade rating like MS-65 or MS-67, mint state, can command substantial sums. But a specimen with the right errors, perfect preservation, and a bit of history attached, perhaps even a well-documented provenance or discovery story, can cross the six-figure mark without much resistance. The $715,000 example we're talking about is believed to have checked all these boxes. Experts believe it may have featured a combination of a doubled die, a misstruck planchet, and a repunched mint mark, all preserved in gem mint condition. Whether discovered in a forgotten coin roll, a childhood collection, or an inherited stash, such a find is the stuff of dreams. And it's not only professional numismatists who are making these discoveries. Everyday people, hobbyists, and even curious treasure hunters with metal detectors have stumbled upon extraordinary finds in the most unexpected places. Today's deep dive, we're exploring a tiny piece of metal that holds a surprisingly huge amount of value. Imagine finding a humble 2004 Liberty 1-cent coin, just a penny, in your change jar or stuck between your car seats, and discovering that it could be worth up to $11,000. That's right, just 1 cent, with a possible hidden fortune behind it. This isn't just wishful thinking or exaggerated hype. There are actual cases where these seemingly ordinary coins have sold for thousands of dollars. So what exactly makes this particular penny so special? Why would someone pay over $10,000 for a coin that was supposed to be worth merely 1 cent? Buckle up, because we're about to go deep into the fascinating world of minting errors, rare varieties, and the hidden details that make the 2004 Liberty 1 cent coin an astonishing collectible. Now, before diving into the specific errors and the numismatic mysteries of this penny, let's take a moment to understand what makes coin collecting so intriguing to so many people. For decades, collectors have been scouring their pocket change and coin rolls, looking for small imperfections that could yield big rewards. The thrill of discovery is like hitting the jackpot for enthusiasts. Some coins gain value due to their age, rarity, or precious metal content. But in the case of the 2004 Liberty 1 cent, its dramatic value jump has everything to do with the way it was made, or more precisely, the ways it was accidentally made wrong. The U.S. Mint has a complex, high-speed process for producing coins. Even with today's advanced technology, errors still slip through the cracks, and when they do, collectors go absolutely wild for them. One of the most desirable categories of these mint errors includes double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, wrong planchets, and more. These rare mistakes often escape detection and end up in circulation, only to be discovered years later by someone paying close attention. So let's focus in on the 2004 Liberty 1 cent. To begin with, it's a coin that, on its face, looks quite ordinary. It features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front, of the coin, along with the word Liberty and the date, 2004. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, as was standard for pennies minted from 1959 to 2008. But it's precisely in the small details, those that most people overlook, where the potential for massive value lies. Some of the 2004 pennies came out of the mint with striking errors that make them incredibly rare. For example, one of the more sought-after variants is the 2004 penny struck on a different metal planchet than what's typically used for that year. Normally, pennies made after 1982 are struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet. But in some astonishing cases, coins were mistakenly struck on leftover planchets from earlier years, such as bronze or even foreign coin blanks. These rare off-metal errors are highly coveted because they stand out and were never meant to exist. Finding a 2004 penny struck on a bronze planchet is like discovering buried treasure. Even more fascinating are examples of 2004 pennies that feature misaligned dies or off-center strikes. These occur when the two dies used to stamp the design onto the coin are not properly aligned. The result? Part of the design may be missing, or dramatically shifted to one side. In extreme cases, you might find Lincoln's portrait shifted so far over that part of his head is off the coin entirely. While not every misalignment adds thousands to the coin's value, particularly dramatic examples, especially those with complete details visible, can easily bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars at auction. Another error that adds significant value is the double die. A double die happens during the die creation process, when the hub used to impress the design onto the die shifts slightly and leaves a second impression. When that die is used to strike coins, every coin it strikes shows evidence of the doubling. On the 2004 Liberty 1 cent, some double die examples show strong doubling on the date, on the word Liberty, or on In God We Trust. These are among the most collectible errors because the doubling is clear and noticeable without needing magnification. Collectors will pay a premium for dramatic doubling that doesn't require a microscope to appreciate, but the drama doesn't end there. Mint mark errors are another category that adds incredible value to coins like the 2004 penny. Although mint marks were moved to be part of the master die in 1990, earlier coins had mint marks hand-punched into the die, leading to all sorts of variations and errors. However, even in post-1990 coins like the 2004 penny, problems can still occur. One possible error is a missing mint mark or a distorted mint mark. For example, some 2004 pennies were discovered with a faint or almost invisible D for the Denver Mint, while others have oddly shaped or poorly struck mint marks. These types of anomalies, although more subtle, are closely monitored by collectors who specialize in modern varieties. Then there's the infamous BIE error. This quirky and beloved variety shows up when a die chip forms between the letters B and E in the word Liberty, creating what looks like the letter I. These BAE errors aren't unique to 2004 pennies, but the 2004 examples are still sought after when they appear. The interesting thing about BAE errors is that they don't result from damage after the coin leaves the mint, but from wear and tear on the die itself. That means they're considered legitimate mint errors, and they're collectible in their own right. A less common but very exciting mistake is when a coin is struck on a foreign planchet. This happens when a blank intended for another country's coin somehow finds its way into the press for US coins. The result? A coin with the US design, but a totally different weight, size, or color. There have been examples of Lincoln cents struck on planchets intended for coins from countries like the Philippines, Chile, or even blanks meant for dimes or nickels. When this happens with a 2004 penny, and the error is authenticated, the value can skyrocket. These kinds of errors are so rare that when one is found, it often causes a stir in the numismatic community. Even the color of a 2004 penny can be a clue to its rarity. Most are copper-plated zinc, and they appear bright red when freshly minted. Over time, they usually turn brown. However, some 2004 cents retain a beautiful red color due to perfect storage conditions, and these are graded by professional coin grading services with the designation RD for red. A high-grade 2004 penny with a red designation, especially if it has a mint error, can fetch an eye-popping price. Speaking of grading, professional authentication is absolutely key when it comes to confirming the value of your coin. Just finding a weird-looking penny doesn't automatically mean you've struck gold. Experts at PCGS, NGC, and ANAX use magnification, measurement, and other tools to certify coins. A 2004 Liberty 1 cent that shows clear errors and earns a high grade, such as MS 66 or above, can easily leap into the 4, or even 5-figure value range. And if the coin features multiple errors, like a double die and an off-metal strike, that value can rise dramatically. There have been actual auction records where 2004 error pennies sold for thousands of dollars. Some sold for $1,000 to $3,000 depending on the grade and error, while one rare specimen with a highly unusual planchet error and top condition brought in over $11,000 at a major coin auction. These are not just speculative or theoretical numbers, they are real transactions by serious collectors. So now you might be wondering, what should you look for if you want to find one of these valuable 2004 pennies? First, start by checking the date, make sure it's 2004, and then take a close look at the word Liberty and In God We Trust. Look for any doubling or strange marks. Check the mint mark. If it's a D for Denver, look closely to see if it's weak or misshaped. Examine the coin's color and weight. If it feels heavier than usual, it could be struck on the wrong metal. And always examine both sides of the coin under good lighting.